Welcome to the Deep Dive. Ready for a deep dive into the latest cybersecurity news?
Always.
We're looking at the CISO Daily Update from December 18th, 2024.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty juicy.
Lots to unpack.
We'll cover data breaches, vulnerabilities, malware, some special reports.
Yeah, the usual.
The usual, right?
The stuff that keeps us up at night.
Exactly. And there's some pretty wild stuff in here. Like, did you know a university got hit with a ransomware attack?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Affected over 1 million people.
And hackers are selling a zero-day exploit for Chrome and Edge.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's not good.
So let's jump right in. First up, let's talk about that university ransomware attack.
Okay, so Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center.
That's the one.
They got hit hard.
Yeah, over 1 million people affected.
1.4 million to be exact.
It's the biggest university attack we've seen all year.
Names, social security numbers, medical records, financial info.
All compromised.
Yeah.
This ransomware group, Interlock, they're claiming they stole 2.6 terabytes of data.
Which is a
Yeah,
lot.
It's massive. Imagine downloading the entire Library of Congress. Twice.
That's basically what they got away with.
Disrupted classes, delayed patient care.
Just a huge mess.
And it really shows, it's not just about protecting your own computer anymore.
Right. This stuff has real-world consequences.
It affects all of us. If a university, with all their security measures...
You'd think they'd be more prepared.
Exactly. If they can get hit, anyone can.
Absolutely.
So we all need to be extra vigilant.
Vigilance is key.
And speaking of things that make you go, let's talk about that Virtavo security camera app.
Oh, yeah, the irony.
A security app leaking data. What's next?
A bank robber working as a security guard.
Right. It's crazy. So their database was leaking like a sieve. 8.7 million records exposed.
Potentially affecting 100,000 users.
And they were collecting way more data than they needed.
Location data, browsing history, even personal contacts.
It's like, why?
Yeah, way too much information.
So anyone who accessed that database?
Could track your movements, steal your identity, use it for other attacks.
It's a reminder that even seemingly harmless apps can be risky.
You really got to be careful what you install.
And what permissions you give them.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the human element in all this.
Okay, yeah.
Remember Vitaly Antonenko?
The guy who got sent to prison for hacking.
Yeah. His story is a good example of how, there are real people behind these attacks.
Real people with real skills, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was part of a group that used SQL injection.
Which is a way of exploiting weaknesses in website code.
Basically finding a backdoor, right?
Exactly.
So they stole hundreds of thousands of credit card numbers.
Sold the info on the dark web, laundered the money through cryptocurrency.
It's like a whole criminal enterprise.
Very sophisticated.
So what can everyday people do to protect themselves?
Well, be cautious about the websites you visit, the links you click.
Makes sense.
Keep your software updated.
Always.
And use strong, unique passwords for every single account.
And don't forget multi-factor authentication.
Absolutely. That extra layer of security can make a big difference.
All right, now for the really scary stuff. Emerging threats that have cybersecurity experts on edge.
Okay, bring it on.
Someone's selling a zero-day exploit for Chrome and Edge browsers?
A 0-day? That's a vulnerability no one knows about yet.
Yeah, like a ticking time bomb.
Anyone who buys that exploit could potentially take control of millions of systems.
Data theft, malware, the works.
It's why keeping your software updated is so important.
Patches are released to fix these things, so you got to install them ASAP.
No delay.
And it's not just browsers we have to worry about. Cybercriminals are using Microsoft Teams to phish people.
Oh, I've heard about that.
They pose as tech support, trick people into installing remote access software.
And then deploy Darkgate, RE.
RE. What's that?
Remote access Trojan.
So basically, they take control of your computer remotely.
Exactly.
Spy on you, steal your data.
Even use your computer to attack others.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it's a serious threat.
Okay, we've got shady apps, website vulnerabilities, malicious Teams calls. What's next?
Well, how about booby-trapped Google Calendar invites?
You're kidding, right?
Nope, it's a thing.
So you click on what you think is a meeting reminder.
And bam, you're infected with malware.
And they're using Google Drawings to bypass security systems.
They're getting creative.
It's like they're weaponizing our productivity tools.
In a way, yeah.
And what about crypto? Is that safe?
Well, there's this new malware called CoinLurker. Specifically targets crypto wallets.
Oh.
Hides in fake software updates, phishing emails, even online ads.
So sneaky.
Once it's on your system, it can steal your Bitcoin, Ethereum, access your Telegram, Discord, even FileZilla accounts.
So if you're into crypto, Be extra careful what you click on, what you download.
And always double-check the source.
Don't trust anything that seems too good to be true.
Exactly. And CoinLurker uses Web3 infrastructure to hide its tracks.
Web3?
Yeah, and it uses stolen certificates to make itself look legitimate.
This is some next-level malware. All right, let's move on to critical vulnerabilities. First up, Azure Data Factory.
Researchers found 3 vulnerabilities.
Oh boy,
They could give attackers control over entire cloud infrastructures.
that's not good.
Misconfigurations and weak authentication are the main culprits.
So if you're using Azure Data Factory,
Lock down your configurations, use strong passwords, and multi-factor authentication.
otherwise you're basically leaving the door wide open.
It's like leaving your house unlocked in a bad neighborhood.
And it's a reminder that even cloud services can have flaws.
Nothing is 100% secure.
And then there's SonicWall. Over 25,000 of their VPN firewalls are vulnerable.
Outdated firmware, lack of support, easy targets for ransomware groups.
So if you're using SonicWall,
Check your firmware, update it now.
don't wait for a disaster.
Proactive security is essential.
And CISA issued a warning about vulnerabilities in Adobe Cold Fusion and Windows.
Both actively exploited,
Attackers can exploit them remotely, no physical access needed.
leading to data breaches, malware infections, all sorts of bad stuff.
Patches are available, but federal agencies have until January 2025 to patch them.
Walk on.
So there's a window of opportunity for attackers.
Get those patches installed ASAP.
And then there's hiatus or at malware targeting webcams and DVR systems.
Exploits old vulnerabilities, especially in devices made by Xiongmai and Hikvision.
Okay, now this is getting creepy. Someone watching you through your webcam. No thanks.
It's a real possibility, especially with older, unpatched devices.
So what can people do?
Update firmware, use strong passwords, disable cameras when not in use.
Good advice.
You can even get a physical webcam cover for extra peace of mind.
And finally, there's a critical vulnerability in Hitachi software.
Allows remote attackers to bypass authentication.
No password needed.
Nope, straight in.
Affecting a wide range of Hitachi software, potential for data breaches, system outages, all sorts of disruptions.
It's critical to upgrade to patched versions as soon as possible.
So the takeaway here is clear. Keep your software up to date. Patch, patch, patch.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, let's move on to some special reports that give us a broader perspective on the cybersecurity landscape.
Okay, so good.
First up, how are security teams feeling about generative AI?
Well, there's a lot of buzz about it.
Yeah, AI is everywhere these days.
But security professionals are cautious.
Makes sense. They don't want to create new security risks.
Exactly. They need tools they can trust.
And they're concerned about sensitive data exposure, attackers using AI for malicious purposes.
It's a balancing act,
Yeah.
harnessing the power of AI while ensuring it's used responsibly.
And speaking of responsible use, the U.S. government released a new national cyber incident response plan.
A new plan
Yeah, outlines roles and responsibilities during cyber incidents.
for government agencies and private sector organizations.
It's basically a playbook for responding to major cyber attacks.
Improves coordination, response efforts, especially for big incidents that could impact national security.
Or critical infrastructure.
And they're seeking public feedback on the plan.
That's great.
Everyone can have a say in shaping how we respond to cyber threats.
A collaborative effort.
Exactly.
Okay, now for a real shocker. Attackers can discover new APIs incredibly fast,
How fast are we talking?
as little as 29 seconds.
Wow, that's quick.
Research from Wallerm using an API honeypot revealed this.
Attackers are constantly scanning for exposed APIs.
And they're using all sorts of techniques to exploit them.
So if you're responsible for API security,
Strong authentication, authorization, input validation are critical.
regular security testing and vulnerability scanning are a must.
You've got to stay ahead of the game.
Always.
All right, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with a look at healthcare cybersecurity.
Another rough year for the industry.
Surge in ransomware attacks, IoT device vulnerabilities, major breaches,
Change Healthcare, Ascension, NHS London, millions of patient records exposed.
and connected medical devices are creating new attack vectors.
It's a challenging landscape.
But there's also reason for optimism.
New regulations like the HIPAA Safe Harbor Act.
More focus on zero-trust security models.
Bipartisan support for improving healthcare cybersecurity at the national level.
So while the challenges are real, there's a collective effort to make things better.
Definitely.
Oh, and one more thing I wanted to highlight. The impact of regional differences in healthcare cybersecurity.
Oh, right. The U.S. saw a 36% rise in attacks.
while the UK experienced a whopping 700% increase.
That's a huge difference.
Shows there's no one-size-fits-all approach to cybersecurity.
Solutions need to be tailored to the specific context of each region.
Regulations, infrastructure, cultural attitudes towards security, it all plays a role.
Absolutely.
But even with those regional differences, there are some common threads.
Like the fact that the average cost of a healthcare data breach actually dropped in 2024.
That's interesting.
Suggests that investments in AI and automation are starting to pay off.
Helping organizations detect and respond to threats faster, reducing the overall impact.
Efficiency is key.
But let's not forget that the cost of a breach goes beyond just the financial losses.
Right. There's reputational damage, loss of patient trust, potential impact on patient care.
Those costs are harder to measure, but they can be just as significant.
Sometimes even more so.
A data breach can shake people's confidence, especially in healthcare.
Where lives are at stake.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity is about protecting people, not just data.
Exactly. It's about safeguarding lives and well-being.
And it highlights the need for a comprehensive approach, encompassing technology, people, and processes.
All working together.
Before we wrap up, one more thing. Attackers are using collaboration to their advantage,
How so?
leveraging the power of numbers and automation
Makes them more efficient.
to launch increasingly sophisticated, large-scale attacks.
We're seeing this trend across the board.
The Wallen research showed they can deploy up to 50 requests per second across 50 different IP addresses.
And do this for a very low cost.
It's like they have a digital army at their disposal.
That can overwhelm defenses and exfiltrate huge amounts of data.
Defenders need to adopt a similar approach.
Collaboration, automation, threat intelligence sharing are essential.
We need to be proactive, anticipate threats, mitigate them before they cause damage.
Stay ahead of the curve.
So what does all this mean for the average person?
Well, awareness is key.
Strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, software updates. Be mindful of what you click and download.
Don't be an easy target.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember you're not alone.
There are resources available to help you stay safe.
Government agencies, security organizations, online communities.
Don't hesitate to reach out for help.
And resources like the CISO Daily Update are invaluable.
It's like having a cybersecurity expert in your pocket.
It keeps you informed, gives you insights, helps you make smart decisions.
Knowledge is power. Use it wisely.
Back again for more deep dive fun.
Ready to dive deeper.
We've been looking at the cybersecurity landscape up close, but now...
It's time to zoom out a bit.
Yeah, see the bigger picture.
Get a wider view.
And one thing that really stands out
What's that?
is how different regions are affected by these threats.
Yeah, regional differences.
It's fascinating, right? The same threat can have wildly different impacts depending on where you are in the world.
It's all about context.
Like, the US saw a 36% rise in cyber attacks this year.
It was a lot.
But the UK, they got hit with a 700% increase.
700%. That's intense.
It's crazy. So what's going on over there? Why is such a huge difference?
Well, it's a mix of things, you know.
Okay.
Regulations, infrastructure, even cultural attitudes towards security.
Interesting.
Some regions are just better prepared to handle these attacks.
Makes sense. Like some countries have better flood defenses than others.
Exactly. They've invested in the right infrastructure, they have strong regulations, and people are more aware of the risks.
So they're more resilient.
Exactly.
But even with these regional differences, there are some positive trends.
Like what?
Well, the report mentioned that the average cost of a healthcare data breach actually went down in 2024.
Did it? That's good news.
Yeah, it suggests that investments in AI and automation are paying off.
Those technologies can really help organizations detect and respond to breaches faster.
Minimizing the damage, reducing costs.
It's all about efficiency.
But we got to remember, the cost of a breach isn't just about the money.
Oh, absolutely.
There's reputational damage, loss of trust.
Impact on patient care.
Especially in healthcare. Those things can be devastating.
Yeah, a breach can really shake people's confidence.
Makes them question whether their data is safe.
Their privacy.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity is about protecting people, not just systems.
Exactly. It's about human well-being.
And it highlights the need for a more holistic approach.
Holy.
One that considers technology, people, and processes.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
We can't just focus on the tech. We need to think about the human element, too.
Absolutely.
And speaking of evolving threats, we talked earlier about how quickly attackers can exploit APIs.
Oh, yeah, that was scary.
But it's not just about speed. It's about the sheer scale of these attacks.
It's like they're throwing everything they've got at us.
Exactly. The Wallem research showed they can generate massive amounts of traffic.
Like 50 requests per second from 50 different IP addresses.
Then they can do it cheaply.
It's like they have an army of digital bots.
A bot army.
And they can overwhelm defenses, steal huge amounts of data in no time.
So defenders need to step up their game.
Big time.
We need to be more proactive, more collaborative.
Use automation, share threat intelligence.
Think like the attackers. Anticipate their moves.
It's a constant arms race.
So what can the average person do to stay safe in this digital jungle?
Well, the basics are still important.
Strong passwords, multi-factor authentication.
Software updates.
Be mindful of what you click on, what you download.
Don't be an easy target.
And if you're feeling lost or overwhelmed,
There's help out there.
government agencies, security organizations, online communities.
People who can answer your questions, guide you.
And don't underestimate the power of resources like this CISO daily update.
It's packed with valuable information.
It keeps you informed, gives you insights, helps you stay ahead of the curve.
It's a must-read for anyone who wants to stay safe online.
Okay, so we've talked about regional differences, the evolving threat landscape, and the role of AI.
Lots to digest.
But now for the big question. With AI playing a bigger role in both cyber attacks and defenses,
The big question, yeah.
what does the future of cybersecurity look like?
That's a tough one.
It is, right? Because AI has so much potential.
For both good and bad.
It's like giving a supercomputer to both the heroes and the villains.
It could revolutionize cybersecurity, make us much safer.
Or it could make attacks even more devastating.
It's a double-edged sword.
So what do you think? Who's going to win this AI arms race?
Well, it's not just about winning or losing.
Okay.
It's about how we use AI, the choices we make.
Makes sense.
Will we use it responsibly, ethically? Will we develop safeguards, invest in research?
Those are big questions.
And the answers will shape the future of cybersecurity.
It's like we're at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine our fate.
It's a lot of responsibility.
But that's why we do the deep dive.
To explore these complex issues.
Help people understand the challenges we face.
And to empower them to make a difference.
So as you go about your day, think about the things we've discussed.
The threats, the trends, the potential of AI.
Stay curious, stay skeptical, stay engaged.
Because the future of cybersecurity depends on all of us.
And we're back for the final part of our cybersecurity deep dive.
It's been a wild ride through the digital underbelly, hasn't it?
It has. We've seen how cybercriminals are upping their game, using AI, stolen certificates, you name it.
They're constantly finding new ways to exploit our systems and our data.
But the good news is that the good guys are fighting back.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing more investment in cybersecurity, stronger regulations, and a growing awareness of the threats.
And that awareness is crucial. Because cybersecurity isn't just about technology, it's about people making smart choices online.
Right, it's about being cautious,
Yeah.
thinking twice before you click on a link or download something.
And it's about taking those basic security measures like using strong passwords and enabling multi-factor authentication.
Those simple steps can make a huge difference in protecting yourself.
And of course, staying informed about the latest threats and trends is key.
Absolutely. That's where resources like the CISO Daily Update come in.
It's like a cheat sheet for staying ahead of the cybercriminals.
It gives you insights into their tactics and helps you understand how to defend against them.
But knowledge is only part of the equation. We need to turn that knowledge into action.
Right. We need to implement those security measures, educate ourselves and our families about the risks, and push for stronger cybersecurity policies.
It's a team effort. Everyone has a role to play.
We're all in this together.
And that brings us back to that big question looming on the horizon.
The question of AI.
Right. As AI becomes more powerful, what does it mean for the future of cybersecurity?
It's a question that keeps a lot of cybersecurity professionals up at night.
Because AI has the potential to be both incredibly beneficial and incredibly dangerous.
It's like giving a superpower to both the superheroes and the supervillains.
It could revolutionize how we defend against attacks.
Or it could be used to create even more sophisticated and devastating attacks.
So the future of cybersecurity hinges on how we choose to use AI.
On whether we use it responsibly, ethically, and with the right safeguards in place.
It's a huge responsibility, and the decisions we make today will have far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely. We're at a pivotal moment, and the choices we make now will shape the digital landscape for years to come.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few key takeaways.
Sounds good.
First, the threat landscape is constantly evolving. Cybercriminals are getting more sophisticated, more organized, and more determined.
They're always looking for new ways to exploit our weaknesses.
Second, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. It's not just about technology, it's about people making smart choices and taking proactive steps to protect themselves.
We all need to be part of the solution.
And finally, stay informed, stay curious, and stay engaged. The more you know about cybersecurity, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this complex and ever-changing world.
Resources like the CISO Daily Update are a great place to start.
And there are countless other resources available online, from government agencies to security organizations to online communities.
Don't be afraid to ask questions and seek help. There are people out there who want to help you stay safe.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. We hope you've learned something new, gained some valuable insights, and maybe even felt a little bit inspired to take action.
Stay safe online.